Hi parents, Kate Chasman here. I want to start a video series for everybody, and each week hopefully we'll get a new video coming out, and it will be about something that might be helpful for you as a parent and dealing with your kids at home. So I'm hoping that you can also give me ideas of things that you would like a little bit of thought around. I could do some research for you. So let me get started. So today, this month, the month of September, I really want to talk about routines a lot and why that's important for kids. And I thought the first one that we should start with is our sleep routine, because that's really a key thing for kids for their health, for their physical health, but also for their mental health. If kids aren't sleeping enough, they can have a hard time. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what can happen. So just quickly, so you probably know this or have seen this before. This is the American Pediatric Society. These are their recommendations for sleep. So as you see here, I think you can see it on my thing, okay? For 0 to 12 months, 12 to 16 hours, 1 to 2 years, 11 to 14 hours, 3 to 5 years, 10 to 13 hours. This is probably the one most of our kids are going to fall into. For 6 to 12-year-olds, they need 9 to 12 hours of sleep a night. That's a lot of sleep. If you think about it, if you think about your what time your kids usually go to bed and what time you have to be up in the morning to get them off to school and get you off to work, a lot of times people are not getting that 9 to 12 hours. And some kids might be more on the higher end of that, and some kids might be more on the lower end of that. And you can sort of gauge based on your child's mood and how they do. But just to keep in mind that is a lot of sleep. So if you have to leave the house at 7 in the morning, that means you need to make sure that they're getting in bed by probably, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night at the latest. You don't want to go later than that. And some people even have to leave earlier if they have to, commute for a bit. So just keep that in mind when you're, figuring out your bedtime schedule. So let me explain why sleep is so important. I'm going to move this a little bit so you can see it better. So one of the reasons, in addition to just physical health and growth and all that good stuff, our sleep affects what's called our executive function skills. So that is, I don't know whether you remember when you had your children. I know when I had my girls, I couldn't think straight because I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was only getting a few hours a night, and I couldn't focus on anything. I had no working memory. So executive function is that part of your brain, it's the prefrontal cortex, and it's the part of your brain that does all the planning, all the organizing, the focusing, the prioritization, the ability to think about a situation from multiple perspectives. It really is a big part of our thinking brain. And when we don't have those abilities, we're not very functional, frankly, and that's the executive functioning, right? It's sort of like the CEO of your brain. So some of the main things that you'll see with kids when they're not sleeping enough is they might have emotional regulation issues. They might have a lot of tantrums. We've all been in Target with a 2-year-old who's throwing a fit because they're tired. That is why. Now we know. Working memory issues. They might have trouble remembering things. They might have trouble with directions. You might say, go get your soccer shoes out of the bedroom, and the next thing you know, they're not doing it because they're just having a hard time keeping track of what they're supposed to be doing. They get distracted easily. They might have focusing issues with their homework, but also with anything, with a game with their siblings or, at soccer practice or baseball practice or whatever they do. They might have flexibility issues with others. So like someone might want to be playing a game and they might have a hard time adjusting to change to that because their executive function's being impacted, and it might be because of their sleep. So we can have these issues for a lot of reasons, but sleep is an easy one to say, let's take that one off the table and try to make sure we get enough. So the hard part, as you all know, is fitting it all in, right? Like, okay, you got to get your kid 11 hours sleep, but they also have activities after school, and they have school, and they have homework, and you have work, and you have your own life that you want to lead, right? So it's trying to figure out how to get it all sorted out, right? All those balls up in the air at once. So to think about a bedtime routine, you want to think about, first of all, you got to start by in the morning, as funny as that sounds, and you have to say, what time do we need to make sure we're up in the morning? And if you have to be up in the morning by 7 and you want to make sure that they get, 11 hours at least of sleep, then you've got to get your child in bed. They have to be lights out by 8 if they're going to get 11 hours of sleep. So that means then you have to figure out how long that routine's going to take you. And it varies depending upon how much you want to fit into the evening, right? So I'm going to move over here so you can see my other board. Right over here. So let's pretend you want an 8 o'clock bedtime. So I put in, it's going to take about 30 minutes. Now this could vary. If you add a bath to it or a shower, that might take longer because if your kids are anything like my girls, they liked a lot of bath time. They like to play in the bath for a long time, and I kind of let them. So I would add on. My girls' bedtime might take as much as 45 minutes or an hour when they were little. So anyway, I'm just pretending it's a half an hour. So you might need to alter that. 7:30 start. So about 5 minutes. Get the backpack organized for the next morning. So that's one thing off the table for the morning. Put the backpack by the front door. Get the shoes by the front door. Jacket by the front door, whatever they're going to need to leave the house for school that next day. I always found it much easier if I just had it all right there. Whammo, we could just pick it up and hop into the car or walk to school or whatever we do. So organizing that stuff. You can even make a lunch here if you want. Some people like to make the lunch the night before and just put the lunchbox in the fridge. If you make a lunch for school, if you don't, then you don't have to worry about it. 10 minutes about to get their teeth brushed, hands and face washed, and put on PJs. This would obviously be a bigger number if you're going to try to do a bath or a shower, probably. 5 minutes I put to kind of get into bed, get their stuffy, get water if they want water, go potty for the last time before bed, all that kind of stuff. And then 10 minutes in bed for cuddling, reading, kind of talking about their